Shalom, Pahola, Yahweh Shemil Shabbat, Shemakakwadash, to the owners, to the apostles, and the bishops, and the GMS, even the elders that came before them and taught us the truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and sincerity, the hopeful light tabernacle of David. I'm the brother elder, Yashawan, and this is World War III Daily Update. Shalom and salutations to you all. Things are about to escalate, says Nate from the Canadian Prepper Show. So, what are they talking about? They're talking, let's just get where is it? It's called, what do I want? Leaders. What is it, Leaders? Is this it? Let me see. Second Ezra's 9. No, yeah, it is. Let's see. Yeah. Unstable. Here we go. Second Ezra's 9 and 3 in the GMT. Right? Where is it? Yeah, GMT. Okay, so there will be earthquakes, national rebellions. We got that right now. Earthquake yesterday. International intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. When you see this happening, you will know that they are what the Most High God has spoken about since the beginning of creation. So, what I'm focusing on here is unstable leaders and confused rulers. Okay, now take it away, Nate. Let's let this guy try to explain what will happen next. Okay, in this next phase. Take it away. This Canadian paper 16 hours ago. This is bad. Go.
Who in their right mind would make a deal with someone who baselessly walked away from the last deal? So it's not Iran trying to take over the region. It is Iran trying to avoid becoming the next Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya. There's a long list of nations the U.S. has lied about, invaded, destroyed, and remain destroyed to this day.
How do you figure Russia plays into this? Because, of course, they have very close ties with Israel as well, which cannot be understated. I mean, I think there's like 2 million Russian-speaking Jewish people in Israel. So these are things that they have to balance. And even China seemed to be, there's limited exposure there militarily, at least on the surface. We know that I've seen some photos that show some clearly made in China, equipment, but they only have like 4 warships in the region. And despite how important the oil is there for them, they're not really getting involved. Can you maybe, as we kind of segue the conversation into Eastern Europe, talk a little bit about Russia's role in brokering an Iran deal?
Yeah. So you mentioned Russia's relations with Iran and Israel. And what that demonstrates is just how artificial all of these conflicts are. It is actually possible to be friends with all of these nations and all these nations to cooperate with one another if you didn't have an empire in there deliberately pitting everyone against each other. It's what empire has done all throughout history. The British Empire were masters at dividing and conquering entire regions of the planet, not just one specific country, but entire regions, the whole Indian subcontinent, for example. And that is what the U.S. is doing right now. For Russia, I mean, again, it's kind of one of those things you have to zoom out and see the big picture. But also, as you're mentioning, there is this Iranian-Russian military cooperation. Iran has supplied Russia with military equipment and vice versa. Russia has sent some of its most advanced air defense systems to Iran. I believe there's also talk about electronic warfare, which is so important these days in defending against precision-guided munitions that the U.S. uses. And so, yes, there's synergy there. It's about mutual self-preservation. I think Russia understands that if the U.S. succeeded in toppling Iran, that would complicate Russia's own situation. It would isolate it. It would make the U.S. more powerful. And so all of these are things Russia doesn't want to see to happen. So there's many reasons for Russia to assist Iran. There's many reasons for China to assist Iran. And despite what we hear out of Washington about China being this global menace, its military is a global threat. In reality, China's military is almost entirely confined to China. And again, in these policy papers, with exceptions, I think there's one overseas Chinese basis connected to a UN mission on the Horn of Africa. They admit
this credit card has an interest rate that's really, really low.
So, as you can see, shit's everywhere.
The Chinese military is confined to China. So if the US wanted to fight China, the best way to do it would be a global blockade everywhere else where China's military cannot reach. I think people take for granted the US ability to send military forces all around the globe. This is a logistical and infrastructure feat that required decades of planning and implementation to achieve. This isn't something that China can do or Russia can do overnight. We watched the limits of Russian power projection overseas in Syria. We watched that collapse. So there are real limits to what Russia and China can do to assist Iran. What they can do, I think they are doing, because I think they realize if any one of these players is taking off the board, it'll make it more difficult for everyone who is left.
I'll stop it right there. Now, they're talking about China. They're talking about Russia and Iran coming together. So let's just get that real quick. We'll bring this to an end. Ezekiel 38. Here's what we know is going to happen. And I'm going to just kind of work through it real quick. Let me get the King James. Okay, so Gog and Magog is Russia, or the land of Magog Salah. Come on. Bear with. Let's see. This thing's been moving extremely slow if it's moving at all. So try to reload. Ezekiel 38. Ezekiel 38 and 2, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Gog, the land of Magog, talking about Russia, the chief prince, right? Russia, Rus Shah, I think. But anyway, chief prince, Russia, chief prince. So we're dealing with Russia, and there's Persia, which is Iran, right? So here, from 2 to 4, talking about Russia. The next one to be spoken about, Iran. Now, how do we find, Ezekiel 38 and 5, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. So, that's where we get Iran. Where do we get China? Well, and many people with thee. That could be North Korea. That could be India. India's in BRICS, ain't they? So these are all the ones, right? Ethiopia, Libya. There's that would be Turkey. That would be Syria, right? And then China is, North Korea are in there. And what are they doing? Ezekiel 38 and 7, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee. That's from here going all the way through. And many people with it. Shoot. Use your imagination. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Now let's go back and say, he's going to say exactly that right here. And then we'll close. About right there. Let's see.
There are real limits to what Russia and China can do to assist Iran.
That right there. Russia and China to assist Iran. I showed you China. China's assembled unto Russia. Are they not? He just said it. Many people with thee. What are the North Koreans doing right now? They're fighting the Ukrainians in Russia. Many people with thee. There's your proof. With that, we hope the elect edified you, brothers and sisters.